Chapter 797. The expression on Lady Richard's face changed as soon as she heard the other party's words. She trembled uncontrollably and her walking stick fell to the ground with a thud. She had initially thought that she would have enough time to look for someone who would be able to help her to turn things around for Richard Group. However, she would have never imagined that she would be placed in this kind of situation so quickly. Michael and his children's faces also turned pale as soon as they heard what the other party said. "Mom, what's happening here? Are they going to seal up our villa now? Didn't you already repay more than $1 million to the bank?" Based on the current economic condition of the Richard family, they would not have a place to stay at all if their villa was sealed. Furthermore, none of them had any skills or abilities of their own. They were going to suffer a terrible fate. Michael and his children would not be the only ones who would have to go out to find some part-time job. At that time, Lady Richard might even have to find a part-time job, washing some dishes. Otherwise, they would not be able to survive at all. Lady Richard sat down on the ground and she cried out, "Are you trying to kill my family of 4? I've just used all the money that I had on hand to repay the bank and you're still trying to take my house away from me." The person in charge replied coldly, "We are simply acting in accordance with the law. If you owe money to your creditors and cannot afford to repay your debts, then your creditors have the right to ask the court to freeze and seal all of your assets and properties. Let me give you a piece of advice now. If you can raise some money to pay off your debts within the next 3 months, then all of your assets and your villa will be released then. However, if you cannot repay your debts within the next 3 months, your creditors have the right to file a lawsuit against you and you will be prosecuted for fraud." Lady Richard grabbed hold of the other party's leg as she begged, "Please don't seal up my villa. You can't take my villa away from me. I have already lived here for more than 20 years now. This is my home." The other party ignored her cries and he simply told his subordinates, "Take her out of this villa first so that she can calm herself down." Several people hurried forward to help her up before they brought her out of the villa. At this time, Lady Richard broke down and she kept crying out, "You cannot do this. You cannot do this to me." No one paid any attention to her yelling at all. Michael and his children were also brought out of the villa by the law enforcement officers at this time. Michael felt very helpless and desperate. He understood the situation completely. He also knew that the law enforcement officers were working under the orders of the court. If they dared to resist, then it would be blatant resistance to the law. Who asked his family to owe other people money? Since their creditors had already applied for the enforcement of the court, everything was completely legal and reasonable. Harold felt as though he was about to collapse. He hurriedly asked his father, "Dad, what should we do now? Where should our family go now that they've already sealed our villa?" Olivia started crying as she said, "We're already so poor and miserable right now. If we're also going to lose our villa, I might as well be dead." The old lady could only pull her own hair as she started cursing, "How can the banks be so cruel? They aren't giving us any chance to survive." Michael blurted out at this time, "Mom, where did you hide all of our antiques? If the legal enforcement officers find out about this, it will be over for us." As soon as the old lady heard Michael's question, she started to panic and she almost fell down. Michael stepped forward immediately to hold and support her. The old woman calmed herself down before she replied nervously, "Those antiques are all hidden in a dark space under the basement floor. I think they'll probably not be able to find it."